Hey, what's going on, everybody? Real quick, I'm going to go over the hip with you, and this is going to be basically our last lower body lecture as we wrap up before your midterm. Real quick with the hip, guys, I'll be completely honest with you. The hip and the spine, as far as orthopedics goes, it is literally a nightmare just to assess, because it's like, what I mean by that is like I don't want to miss anything, but literally it to get a good hip evaluation or a good spine evaluation, you need to set aside 45 minutes to an hour to go through all these special tests. Again, there's like 40 to 50 special tests out there in the literature. I'm going to show you the two that we usually do on field, which is the good basic test that you're going to see practically for us, and this is just involving the hip. But besides that, a lot of hip pain. I mean, I'm just basically taking this from an athletic trainer's perspective, okay? So for you physical therapists and PAs, and if you're going into anything else, when you actually get into the hip, you'll realize that this is a lengthy, it should be a full semester eval. So just make sure you keep that in mind when we're talking about this, okay? If you pull up your hip joint orthopedic test real quick, I am actually going to go through this with you, and then I'm going to actually post two videos. One video of just real quick the two special tests that I'm going to show you with this. Okay, so just like any other joint, what I want you to do, we're going to go. There's just a basic anatomy, and I love this this PowerPoint because this is actually not mine. This is my buddy's, and he's got the worst old pictures, but they're still good pictures, okay? But anyway, if we're going to go, I want you to go all the way down to hip fractures. It should be on slide number 7, okay? So just like I told you, with the ankle, with the knee, with the lower leg, everything, the first thing that you want to, sorry about the phone, first thing that you want to do of anything is rule out a fracture first. Show somebody's answering that. Okay, sorry. I'm at my work, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, so you want to rule out a fracture first. And what you want to do with that is make sure. So let's say I'm covering a football game on the field or a soccer game, and I think that somebody has a fracture. Obviously, they're going to be in pain. They're going to be, there's going to be some kind of collision. It's very rare that this happens non-contact. Obviously, it can, depending on bone density, and we can get into that in a later lecture. But let's just say there was collision, and you have somebody that can't move, and they like, I cannot move my leg, I cannot get up. Obviously, you find that their C-spine's okay. We'll go through that during C-spine. But as far as your hip is concerned, you need to look at a shortened extremity, okay? Literally, their legs will be a little bit shorter than the other because that fracture will be up into the hip joint, all right? Obviously, when we're talking about the rest of the population, hip fractures occur mostly in the elderly population. You always hear that saying, oh, I fell and I can't get up. Unfortunately, guys, this is what happens, especially with females. As you age, osteoporosis sets in, we lose our balance, and basically we don't take care of all the muscles surrounding the foundation of our body, which is your abdomen and your hips, okay? So they do suffer a lot more hip fractures, okay? The most common type of fractures is intratrochanter, and this will happen obviously a lot in elderly, but a lot in adolescents as well, and it gets missed. So what happens is the head of the femur will break off inside the capsule or inside the joint, and then it will just die there, okay? That's what we call avascular necrosis, all right? And they will have a lot of pain, and then all of a sudden they'll just be unable to move their legs. So they won't present as like a shortened extremity. They'll just have extreme pain. That's why today we have a good ultrasounds, we have good x-ray, good MRI machines that basically pick this thing up, okay? So when we're just looking at clinical signs and symptoms, obviously there's going to be a lot of hip pain. Remember, pain is subjective. Like I said, shortened extremity. And sometimes it's either going to be presented as their foot will be externally rotated while they're laying down, okay? And then they'll have referred pain to the medial thigh or down basically to their patella. It's because your quad tendon is basically trying to guard and keep your hip in line so you're not moving it. It's almost acting as its own splint for you. So you'll see that as well. The next one, I am looking at slide number 9, okay? This word right here, I want you to remember this word, okay? There's two different words I'm going to give you this semester. One is this, contracture. Guys, the word contracture, if you hear this in your career, please don't be one of those people that just say contracture, okay? Make sure that if it's a contracture, then make sure it's a contracture of something, okay? You cannot just say, oh, it's a hip contracture. realize when you're looking through these, and if you've taken anatomy, how many muscles and how many ligaments literally run through the hip. There's a lot, right? So when you say contracture, you have to say contracture of something. Doctors get really, really lazy with this. They'll come in and they'll be like, we can't really figure it out. We've done about 40 different special tests, and literally we can just say it's a contraction. Well, look at the definition of it, okay? A hip joint contracture is a soft tissue stiffness that restricts joint motion. If you've ever lifted any weights, if you were sore because you went on a run and you wake up the next morning and you're having trouble moving, by definition, that's contracture. So you can literally label that as a code to get billed through insurance, and you just wasted, I don't know, a copay. It's like we need to be a better evaluation, or basically a better evaluator when we're looking at this, okay? So my plea to you all is basically when you say contracture, after your findings, after you get good at your clinical skills and you through your special test and your manual muscle test, make sure you narrow it down. What is it a contracture of? Is it a contracture of the rectus femoris? Is it a contracture of the gluteus medius? Is it a contracture of the ASIS, whatever it is, just make sure you say hip contracture of something. If you ever have a doctor tell you that, make sure they tell you, what is my hip contracture of? Just don't let them say just a vague term of hip contracture, okay? It's literally, as you can see here, it can be anything, right? So your clinical signs and symptoms, just like I said, I mean, look at this, guys. It's a stiff hip, limited hip range of motion, inability to position the joint in a neutral position. All these things can be just soreness. I mean, it really can. But it depends on somebody's subjective pain. So if you have somebody that comes in just because they've never experienced pain before, they're a little sore, they will literally get billed for hip contracture. Okay, so just as a good clinician, make sure, I'm going to keep emphasizing it, that you say contracture of whatever you find. Okay? Your Thomas test, I'm going to basically go over this in the other video that's attached, so we can just basically go over this. And then I want to real quickly go over the Trendelenburg test, and this is the last thing that I'm going to give you. The Trendelenburg test, guys, when I went through undergrad and we did this, I didn't realize how important this test was, okay? If I give you any test this semester as far as special test, if you get anything in your system, make sure that you remember this test, because literally this is a starting test for preventative ACL tears. You can even go from upper body, from volleyball to baseball, softball, tennis. This test will basically show us an athlete's strength in their hips of where they are with their kinetic chain, okay? Take a 14-year-old baseball player or softball player that keeps dropping their hips, they're going to have a positive Trendelenburg, in which I'll show you in this test, but it's going to set them up for injury later. Okay, this is why I try to stress to all the high school athletes, make sure you're taking care of your hips, because it's one of the #1 muscle groups that is literally either missed or not ever worked out, and then you wonder why all the ACL tears happens, because literally the kinetic chains derives from your hips. Yeah, you can argue that it derives from your ankles up to your knee, yada, 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 but literally the stability of it comes from this test. It comes from your hips and your abdomen, but most of all, your hips. And I want to tell you this, it comes from your gluteus medius, all right? Hint, hint, test question, okay? So what this tells us, if I were to do this test, even if an athlete's not injured, I can literally tell them, it's like Grand Central, I'm sorry. I can literally tell them you're setting yourself up right then and there for either an ACL tear, or if they're an upper body athlete, you're going to either have scapula issues, your power is already off for whatever sport-specific activity you're getting. So other than that, guys, I am going to give you a video on these 2 special tests, and if you guys have any questions, like always, email me, and I'll be more than happy to answer your emails. So thank you very much.